Hi there. It's July the 20th, and we are today commencing a new section in the scriptures, a new book in the scriptures, with Second Chronicles. Now, I think we've mentioned before that in the original Hebrew, the Chronicles was just one book, was one long book. However, when the scriptures were translated into Greek, into the Septuagint, they were split up into two books. So what we're looking at is really the second section of one book, perhaps written by Ezra, or certainly by one person, by the chronicler, and telling the story of Israel, but particularly focusing in on the story of Judah and the story of the kings and the worship of the living God. So here we have Solomon at the beginning of 2 Chronicles 1, and 2 Chronicles 1, 2 and 3 is what we're reading today. So here in 2 Chronicles 1, Solomon has taken over from his father, and here he comes to Gibeon. Now Gibeon is a hill place, a high place, just to the north of Jerusalem, not far from the north of Jerusalem. And it was where the old tabernacle of God had been pitched, the old tabernacle of Moses. Remember that David had set up his own tabernacle in Jerusalem, which was housing the Ark of the Covenant, but here in Gibeon was the old tent, and it's here that Solomon comes, because here is also the Ark, here is the altar of burnt offering. It's kept in Gibeon rather than in Jerusalem. And so he makes sacrifice. It says he sacrifices a huge amount to the Lord in sacrifice. And it's here that God speaks to Solomon and promises him the gift of wisdom. In fact, Solomon asks for wisdom rather than asking for riches and wealth. And so God says, because Solomon has not asked for riches and wealth, God's going to give him wisdom and insight, but he's also going to give him great wealth as well. Now, in chapter 2 of 2 Chronicles, we find then Solomon making preparations by bringing in the materials. Now, his father has already provided much of the materials in the silver and gold, but Solomon gets in touch with Huram, the king of Tyre in Lebanon, and he brings in many trees, and he brings in the wood, and he brings in also skilled people, the skilled people who have already made great works of building art in his country. And so he brings them in, and also he sets aside the people who are strangers, the people who are sojourners in the land, and he makes them forced labor to build the temple. And so we see here that there's this contract going on. We see also Huram, king of Tyre, blessing the Lord God as the maker of heaven and earth, which seems rather unusual, but he sees Solomon as doing something which is very worthwhile in building this temple, so he wants to take part in it. And in chapter 3 we see that the temple is an amazing building. It's an amazing work of art. It's around 75 feet long by around 30 feet wide. It's divided up, as the tabernacle was, into the holy place and the most holy place. And in the most holy place we have this amazing description of the cherubim, not little angels hanging over the Ark of the Covenant, but actually great angels who have wings that are many feet long, extending out right across the temple. It must have been a really impressive sight to see, and everything covered in gold and silver, precious stones. It was an amazing work of art. And in front of the temple, two pillars that were called Yachin and Boaz, standing up very tall with great heads on the top of them, great chapters on the top of them. It would have been an amazing thing to see. And this, of course, is not the place where God is contained, because in fact Solomon says to Huram, when he's talking to him, he says, don't think that this is a place where I can contain the Lord my God, because there's no house built on earth that can actually contain this God. He's made everything. But this is the place where we're going to meet with him. This is the place where he will come and encounter his people. And so in the beginning of 2 Chronicles, this is the key fact that the chronicler wants us to know, that here is a place that is being set apart, as the tabernacle was, for God to come and meet with his people. We no longer have to rely on one place. We no longer have to rely on one geographical location to meet with God. Wherever his Spirit is abroad, we can meet with him. And of course we meet with him because of Jesus, because of Yeshua, Messiah, because of the Lord who has made a way for us. Everywhere becomes for us the most holy place. Have a very good July the 20th.